To start a program of physical activity, if you're not going to the gym already and haven't been there in a year, there are a few things to start at home until you feel comfortable enough to put in the time and feel happy to walk into a gym. If you feel you do better there, then go, but don't feel like you have to do all the things that you used to do. That'll just make you feel discouraged and be a barrier to your sustainable success. I found that it may be better to ease your way into these things, and there are many things that you could do no matter what level you're at. I was a professional fighter and trained in many different martial arts and have never stopped working out for 30 plus years now and still do these things on the days that I can't hit the gym. So these are good for every level as they make me feel great with all the different workouts that I do. It's also important to note that there's about a 99% chance that you and I are not at the same level. You might be in much better shape than me, and you might not be in as good a shape as me. So no need for negative comments either way. My body's exactly where I need it to be based on the things that I do. And on the other hand, if you're feeling overwhelmed or far behind, that's not going to help you either. So if you have some negative self-talk, understand that this is going to happen at every level you're at, unless you let that go now and just be happy with where you're at and where you're going. If you have a great body, send your pictures and I'll be inspired by them. And if you don't, then get the inspiration in knowing how this can help you from where you are getting to where you want to be. Now first, I'd like you to set short-term goals. Looking at the research behind goals, those who set goals accomplish more. They make more money, they lose more weight, and writing them down increases your chances of success by 9 times. If you don't want to write your goals, then just write what is the ideal circumstance that you'd like based on the work that you're doing. Then what is the dream? That's the best case scenario that you believe can happen. We talk about more things like this in my Efficiency 2.0 Peak Performance Seminar if that interests you. Now the first physical activity that I'd like you to take part in is walking. This could be just for 15 minutes around your block, but shoot for 30, as 30 minutes is a number that has been shown to allow people to lose weight, but that obviously depends on many factors. And when you do it, start in a relaxed manner. This should be therapeutic, not something that you feel like you have to get over with. A park or a beach is ideal and barefoot, but whatever it takes for you to start based on your schedule will work. And 10-minute walks are great to prevent type 2 diabetes as it helps to lower blood sugar, particularly post-meal and frequently throughout the day. And yes, frequency matters, so 3 10-minute walks a day are better than 1 30-minute walk at the end of the day. After you eat, it's a good idea to set a timer and walk for 5 or 10 minutes before you do the next thing, such as getting in your car after leaving a restaurant. When I'm not taking walks at least a couple of times a week, my days become more and more stressful. Hippocrates, the father of medicine, even said walking is a man's best medicine. Now, one Stanford University study found that walking can even boost your creative output by up to 60%. So this can have a powerful positive effect on your mind as well. Now, if you like, you can do this more briskly with the idea of burning calories and raising your heart rate, but go easy to start. This is something you want to look forward to, especially if you're sitting most of the day, as a high percentage of us are, working on our devices or desks or computers. Now, walking can also increase cardiovascular fitness, strengthen bones, reduce excess body fat, and boost muscle power and endurance. Now, it can also reduce your risk of developing conditions such as heart disease, type 2 diabetes, osteoporosis, and some cancers. Psychologists studying how exercise relieves anxiety and depression suggest that a 10-minute walk may be just as good as a 45-minute workout. And some studies show that exercise can work quickly to elevate a depressed mood in many people. Now, although the effects may be temporary, they demonstrate that a brisk walk or other simple activity can deliver several hours of relief, similar to taking an aspirin for a headache. Now, other studies show that regular exercise works as well or better than medication to fight anxiety and depression, and the effects are long-lasting. So a regular exercise schedule and walking is beneficial in many ways. Now, this is something that you can and should go out of your way for. In other words, stop fighting for the best parking spot and park a few extra blocks away, or get off the bus or subway a stop early and walk the rest of the way home. The next thing that is great for your health is taking the stairs. This has been shown in studies to be 50% more demanding than walking briskly up an incline. Now, this is great to do just as exercise, as stairs have very low impact on your knees and your joints. So I would suggest doing a few rounds of stairs a day as well. This is another thing to go out of your way for, even outside of your particular exercise time. So that would look like not waiting for the elevator, and think of the stairs as an opportunity for you, even if you could only walk up 2 flights and then get on the elevator the rest of the way from there. A Harvard alumni study found that men who average at least 8 flights a day have a 33% lower mortality rate than men who are sedentary. And that's even better than the 22% lower death rate men earn by walking just 1.3 miles a day. Another thing you can do is bike ride for 30 minutes, play a sport that you love or even used to love and find a group that's playing that still, and dance as well. That's solo or with a partner. And partner dance has also been shown to be great for your left and right brain connection and keep your mind active as we get older. Now it's pretty easy to find classes for these, and my favorites are Argentine tango and salsa. Now I want to show you some basic stretches for you to do after your walk or exercise or stairs that will help you to get your flexibility in order. These are static stretches done after any exercise or at any point in your day, just not before exercise or playing a sport. Before an exercise, it's best to do a dynamic stretch. It's a myth that static stretching like we're about to do is good before exercise, and I explain more about that in my dynamic stretching video. If you want to warm up before walking or stairs, all you need to do is just start off slow. I'll link the dynamic stretching video below and explain why you want to do that. And you could even do that as some exercise at some point in your day as well if you're just starting out. Now, stretching eases muscle stiffness and increases your range of motion, and may also slow the degeneration of your joints. It promotes circulation and increased blood supply to your muscles, allowing for greater nutrient transport. But doing this after exercise helps to relieve and avoid post-workout aches and pains. Stretching also helps to improve your posture and reduce stress. Now, the first one is a very simple calf stretch. So stretching your calf is very simple. You're just going to lean on something sturdy like a wall or a table or something like that, and just put one foot forward, and the leg you're stretching is going to be the back one. Now this stretch is based on having your heel on the floor. So essentially you're going to put it there and then move your hips forward until you feel it pull on the back of your calf. Now if you want to increase the level of the stress of the stretch, you could just move your foot back. And if you want to decrease it, it's too much for you, just bring your foot forward. So do that for about 30 seconds and then switch to the other side. Now it's very important to keep both of your feet pointed straight ahead of you. You don't want to pivot in either direction with this. So same thing, mainly keeping your heel on the floor and leaning forward with your other leg. So do it for about 30 seconds with each leg and then repeat. Now for your quadriceps, what you're going to do is reach back and grab the front of your ankle and pull it up, but to be careful with this, you're not going to be cranking it up. You're basically holding it and pulling it up a little bit, and then what you're going to do is reach forward with your hip, keeping your whole body on one plane and feeling with your hip going forward the stretch down your quadricep. So if you can reach it with 2 feet and you don't have to hold on, because it's good to have something near you so that you can keep your balance. But if you don't need that, you can reach back and pull it more with 2 hands, being sure that you're pushing forward on your hips. And once you have a comfortable position, what I like to do is then bring my knees closer together so that I feel the stretch more. So with your hip pushed out, bringing your knees together, and that's a great way to feel the stretch. Same thing on the other side. Grabbing the front of your ankle and holding that, and then pushing forward with your hips, and then bringing your knees close together. Now a modification for this is if you can't reach your foot, you can reach back with a belt, and there's two ways to do it. You can loop the belt through and pull it with both hands, or you might not be able to go that far and just use the belt with one hand, keeping your knee in a lateral plane. Doesn't matter how far, you might even be going to here. As long as you feel it in your muscle, the quadricep, that's all you need. And then through time, and as you release tension and get more mobility, you can pull it up tighter. That's it. So for hamstrings, Jana's going to help us with this one. And the easiest method is to just bend over and touch the floor. Now you're going to want to do this with your feet shoulder width apart and just bending over and relaxing your shoulders and your neck. Now this is a great stretch for your whole back, but especially your lower back as well as your hips. And when you're doing this, you're going to want to imagine the top of your head meeting with the floor. So that really helps you to relax your neck. And the idea is to keep your knees straight, but many times people can't do that, especially if they're just starting. So it's okay to have a bend in your knee as long as you feel it in your hamstrings. Now another way to do this is to widen your feet and do one leg at a time. So, and you would do that last one for 30 seconds to 2 minutes. You could do this for 20 to 30 seconds, then the middle, and then the other leg, 20 to 30 seconds each, and then do another set of that. Now another modification for this is to lay on your back, and if you have a partner, you can have your partner push your leg backwards slowly until you feel a strain in your hamstrings. And while you're doing this, you want to make sure you keep both of your butt or your hips back against the floor. Now if you don't have a partner, a great modification for this is to use a towel or a belt, but I especially like the belt because you can modify it in two ways. One, you could do it if you could stretch well like this, but the other modification is, especially if you're just starting out, you can just loop the belt and you might even be only able to go this far with both of your hips against the floor. And this, as long as you feel it in the hamstring, that's great. Now, stretching is a great way to relieve stress throughout your day. So if you're feeling stress at some point, do a few stretches and you're almost guaranteed to feel better. And hamstrings is especially good for that because it's related to a lot of negative emotions in traditional Chinese medicine, like anger or needing to let go of something. So this is a perfect stretch for that. And my favorite way to do hamstrings is just to put my foot up on a table or a bench or something, and then instead of leaning over into it, I turn my hips and you could really feel the hamstring pull from there. So it's a great way to relieve stress at any point in your day. Next we're going to do a butterfly stretch, and this is for your back, especially your lower back and your thighs, and especially your inner thighs. So what we're going to do is put our heels together and bring our feet as close to our groin as we can get them, and ever so slightly pull up on the bottom of your feet towards your chest and push down on your knees, pushing them closer to the ground. So that's happening all at the same time. You can see from the side here. Pushing your legs to flatten them out, and you'll feel that in your inner thigh. Now you could start with your back straight, opening up your hips, and then you could lean forward until you feel it more in your inner thigh. But I don't like to go too far forward because I'll see sometimes people teach this like that because it puts too much pressure on your knee then. So just doing all those things, pulling your feet close to your groin, pushing against your heels, pushing down with your knees, and using your hands to bring this up towards your chest ever so slightly. You don't want to crank this up, and go slow until you feel it in all those positions. This is great to open up your hips. It can help you with your splits if you're looking to do that. And just take deep breaths while doing this. And you can do it for about 30 seconds to 2 minutes. And as you're warming up and releasing tension, you'll notice with all the stretching that you do is that you're able to become more and more flexible within the same rep even. That's it. Next, we're going to do a knee to chest stretch. And essentially what you're going to do is lay down flat on your back and bring your knee as close to your chest as you can get it. And this is a stretch for your lower back. Now, if you have osteoporosis, I would avoid this because it could cause problems in your vertebrae. But essentially, you're going to keep your leg that's on the floor in a relaxed position and keep your back against the floor. Bringing your knee up high, holding it for about 30 seconds, and then switching sides. And the same thing there. Relaxing your other leg. And that's it. Next one we're going to do is a hip flexor stretch. And essentially you're just going to have one of your legs in front of the other. And you want to have a towel or something on your knee to avoid the pressure there. And you are going to move your hips down towards the mat so that you feel it all the way through your hip flexor here. Your back foot is flat on the floor. And just relax into the position. Same thing, do this for about 30 seconds and then switch to the other side. Just moving your hip down towards the floor. And that's it. Next, we're going to do an exercise called cat-camel, or sometimes I've seen it called cat-cow. And all you're going to do here is evenly on all fours with your hands below your shoulders, knees below the hips. You're just going to push down with your lower back. Imagine pushing it to the floor. And it's not that we're looking up, we're just lengthening our neck. So, pushing your belly all the way to the floor. You can hold that for 5 to 10 seconds. And then you're slowly pushing up until you get to the pose that a cat takes when the cat's angry. And you're going to push your neck down, because when you're flexing your back or stretching your back, that includes your neck. So you come to this position. And if you have back issues, you might want to consult with your doctor before doing this. And this is said to have great benefits for your discs and your vertebrae as well as your spine. And you could do this 5 to 10 times. Sometimes I'll just do it on my bed when I wake up to get a nice stretch going and feel good. Pushing your stomach to the floor. And once again, coming back up. Now, once you do that 5 to 10 times, I always like to go into child's pose, where you're going to lean all the way back and reach forward with your hands. And You'll notice this feels great on your back, especially your lower back and your shoulders. This is great for increasing mobility in your back and your shoulders. And you can hold this for about 30 seconds to 2 minutes. Both of these moves are really great for, like I said, increasing mobility and decreasing tension and stiffness. Feels really great. Next, we're going to stretch what's known as the IT band. And this is a band of tissue that runs across your hip, your thigh, and your knee. And starting with the right side, we're going to take our right foot and put it on the other side of our left. And we're going to reach up and over. The idea is to reach that way as opposed to reaching down. So once you have your hips on a lateral plane with your shoulder, which I'm going to show you on the other side, you'll really feel it all along this part of your body. So your hips are straight with your shoulders as opposed to being this way, because then you won't feel it properly. So leaning and reaching all the way over, and you want to make sure you have something to lean on so you could lean deeply into the stretch. So going that way and keeping your neck straight, or at least facing forward, I should say. So switching to the other side, left foot in front or crossing your right and reaching all the way over. So what I mean by the lateral plane is I'm not reaching this way. It's all aligned, my hips and my shoulders with my neck and my head. So reaching all the way over. That feels great. Now, if you enjoyed this, in my next stretching video in the next class, we go over more specific stretches that are beneficial for you to do daily, and they're for full body, and that's in under 10 minutes as well. So I'll see you next in part 2 for body weight exercises that you could do at home. I hope this has been helpful for you, and good luck.